This AI sales system made our client $84,600 in the last 2 months. This video, I will explain what was the goal for the integration, what exactly we built, and we'll show you a quick live demo. This is a roofing company from South Florida. They operate on 3 locations. They have a pretty simple standardized website with a phone number as a main call to action, as well as the get free estimate form. They offer a variety of services that are specifically relevant to Florida. They get clients through the ads, SEO, as well as the word of mouth. All the ads, so all the traffic goes into the website. Obviously, the word of mouth is usually just a phone calls or they actively using the SMS. The main concern was that because it is a higher tier, higher ticket product, they have a lot of the unqualified leads and a lot of the buyers need time to be able to make the decision. Pretty standard to the businesses that operate within a similar pricing range. They are not following up with all the leads, so they lose a lot of the prospects on different pipeline stages. So the potential solution could be an AI conversational assistant that we usually do, that I was already showing on this channel, that would qualify, nurture, and follow up with the people. But interestingly enough, that was not a priority, because with the amount of current business of the new clients they are receiving, and we specifically, because that was the outbound lead that we reached out first, we specifically offered them a re-engagement and database reactivation campaign to be able to work and reactivate all the dead prospects that got lost throughout the pipeline. Because they operate on the phone number, we were so lucky that they were using Twilio. Now, most businesses, especially the local ones, don't. It is not a problem depending on the solution that you're building, but they've been working with an automation company in the past. Right after, ChatGPT APIs got introduced, they kind of started to play around with different things and they transferred to a new system. Thus, they created the Twilio account. So the Twilio number is their main number. So for us, it was very easy to integrate this system because Twilio perfectly integrates within our conversational infrastructure. Now, as I said, usually there are 2 choices that we go about integrating AI into any business. So it's either the sales system or retention flywheel. The sales system is everything happening between this, the actual getting the eyeballs, aka marketing, and let's say this is a customer. So between this, there are different stages: qualification, nurturing, follow-up, pre-selling, upselling, and all these things. So we usually, when we're working within integrating a sales system, we focus on this middle part. But the retention flywheel is actually focusing on everything that is happening after the customer becomes a client, a prospect becomes a client, or with everything that got lost during this pipeline stage. That is why it's called flywheel. So you are increasing the return on their investment that they are already doing into the ads. So that is why here you can see that the goal was to reactivate the prospects, and we are currently using the voice, and then we're using the SMS to actually follow up with the people that we are reactivating through the voice, and you'll see how it works. But we're not yet using the SMS as a standalone channel because we don't want to put any risk onto the actual Twilio phone numbers for the mass outreach. So we're kind of discussing this as a separate topic, and we're planning to also test the RVMs, which is the personalized ringless voicemail messages. So let me show you how everything works here. We have a dashboard. For each and every client, we open a new sub account within the high level. We are using the high level as the interface to host all the workflows and automations. Now, this is not where the agent is built, because if you see the GHL here as the dashboard and as a pipeline that I was showing earlier, it is getting powered by the engine, and the engines are built on either N8N, VAPI, Retail, VoiceFlow, or Make, if this one would be your main choice. So because we are making the phone calls as the reactivation thing to get engaged with the user, we are using VAPI. This is a template. I removed some of the information, obviously, privacy, which is sensitive to this client. But this specific prompt, if you need it, will be available in my free resource hub. So there's a link in the description, so you can just use it. Now, this is a pretty standard VAPI agent, right? So it operates on GPT-4. By the way, not using the Nano yet, because we don't really care about the speed. The conversation usually happens pretty fast between the user and the customer. If the customer says that he's not interested, we're just hanging up. We're asking a question, actually. You can see it in the prompt, but then we're hanging up. This is, in 98% of the cases when people are not interested, they're not gonna talk with us further. So yeah, we're just gathering this question for this purpose of statistical analysis. But when they are interested, we're also asking a few questions, and then we transfer the conversation to the actual human. So if you go to this dashboard, you will see that there is $134,000 of value inside the pipeline. But this is not the attributed value which we and our system, the agent, was able to generate. So if you go to the pipeline, you will see that this is the entire value of all the prospects within the all the stages. So each prospect that comes to the system to get reactivated is assigned to $100 value, because this is potentially a prospect that can bring some money into the business. So it doesn't have the value of 0. Then when we have an automation that is, classifying, because we are bulk uploading all the lists, and we're then exporting the list every month from the business CRM. So all the prospects that do not have a phone number are getting assigned to the no number pipeline stage, and we're removing the value. Then we're getting contacted. So here, the people that got contacted, but after they get contacted, because we're analyzing the transcript, we're either assigning them to the not answered, finished, interested, not interested, and the callback. So you'll see that there are no prospects here. Again, sorry, I will blur some of the information out, but I think you'll be able to understand that. So if we add the lost, you will see that now we populate the prospects that got lost, aka that said that they are not interested in what we have to offer. And because we assign $100 of the value into each and every prospect that comes to the pipeline, when they say that they are not interested, we're removing this from their value field. So if we include the 1 opportunities, now you will see that in the interested, this is where the actual attributed value is, which is $84,600, because these are the prospects that said that they are interested and are still exploring the different options. Now, so this is the dashboard, but before we go even further, I want to share a demo of how everything works. So I will get a phone number, and let me create a contact here. So I'll create a contact, and let's say this will be the number. Now, we are doing it automatically through the bulk upload. The first thing that we did when we started to work with the company, we exported everything manually and imported it into the contact list. So all the prospects have 4 main fields. We must have 2, but 4 is the ideal. 4 being first name, last name, phone number, and the reactivation notes, or the notes that the business has about this prospect. Now, so let's say I'm gonna be Eugene without the last name, with the phone number. So these are just 2 values. The most important value, as I already said, is actually located in the custom field that is called reactivation notes. Now, of course, this is not how the custom field is named within the CRM of the business. They just have a note. And fortunately for us, when exporting all the contacts from their existing CRM, all the notes are getting saved in a separate table within the CSV file. So we are just mapping these notes that they have about each and every prospect, not all of them, of course. So about 60% have, empty, there's nothing there, but 40 have some sort of a value because they had a talk, they're salespeople, were talking with these guys, and because they have a system, they're answering the phone calls and they're making the notes. So these notes go here. So let's say that he is looking for a roofing service for his home in Detroit, something like that. It doesn't matter. And he really likes pets or something like that. Now, this prospect was created. The next thing is to add this prospect into this pipeline, into the waiting to be contacted stage. To do that, you will add a tag, which is database, which is database reactivation. Now, guys, don't worry. I will go over the automation setup a bit later on how we have it set up within the system. Just, for the demo purposes, here's this. So now you will see that the opportunity was created in the waiting to be contacted. So now if we go here and we'll search for the Eugene, you will see that the opportunity should pop up. So there are a few Eugenes here. So we probably need to reload that, but let's see. So as you can see, the opportunity was created in the waiting to be contacted stage of the database reactivation pipeline. Now, when we are going to add another tag, which is a start database reactivation, we are going to receive a phone call almost immediately. Okay, so we're getting that.
Hey Eugene, it's John from South Miami Roofing. I'm following up on your previous inquiry about the roofing solution for your home in Detroit. Last time you were looking for options for your home's roof. Are you still exploring roofing solutions, or have you already taken care of it?
Yeah, I'm still exploring.
Great to hear, Eugene. Just to confirm, is your property still your primary home in Detroit, or are you looking at roofing options for a different property now?
No, so this is my primary home. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying, Eugene. I can have one of our roofing specialists call you in a few minutes to discuss your options further. Would that work for you?
Yeah, sure. Anyways, so now you will see that we have received a call. It is asking, as per the prompt, it is just asking at the first question, hey, is this Eugene? I say, yes. We found this to be the most engaging message, because when you're saying, hey, is this Eugene? I'm calling from the roofing, whatever. We've been split testing this a lot, and this simple approach engages the most. Of course, people are asking where are you calling from and stuff like that. And now you're gonna, this salesperson is gonna say, yeah, I'm coming from roofing. I'm actually reaching out because you're showing the interest in our roofing services. Now, this is not a cold call. I receive a lot of the questions about different people asking me if they can build a AI cold callers, or is it gonna work? I'll tell you this, you should not do that. It may work for different niches, but this is not a cold call, because this is a reactivation call. So these people that are answering this call has been already contacted us, and it's not on the legal side. This is not what I'm referring to. It's more on the perception side, that the people are actually, by contacting and by getting interested in our services, they give us the permission to contact them back in certain period to remind them about their interest. So that is where we had the opportunity assigned to the waiting to be contacted. Then it was moved to the contacted. And after the fact that I said that, yes, I'm interested, it moved us, as you can see here, to Eugene here into the interested pipeline. And not only that, it assigned the opportunity value and also transferred our conversation to a real human sales rep. So here's how it works. It is not automatic, which something that you might expect. So when someone says, yes, I am interested, we are not booking the call with this person within the AI agent, which, by the way, we could easily integrate it within the calendar and then check for the availability, then book. This is not how it works, especially in this type of the niche, because people will ask a lot of the questions. While asking all of the questions, AI can perfectly answer them, but they will still, most people, will understand that this is not a human. And to proceed further, of course, they are not paying anything, get into the appointment, there are a few different stages, and they want to make sure that they are talking with a real human. When we are doing the same type of the thing through the text, by the way, not for this specific business, but for other companies that we work with, we can mimic human behavior on 100%, because there is no voice. And we created a system that is very conversational, that will give a full understanding to the person on the end of the line that this is someone from the company. You cannot do that yet with the voice AI. That is why we are playing a safe game. Instead of actually trying to gather all the details, we're just capturing the interest. And this is where the value is. this. And even though this is just the interest, we are assigning the $2,500 value to this prospect, even though he has not been yet closed, because obviously the contracts are much higher, and usually there is like a closing rate that they have between 10 to 20% of this actual calls. So this is the system that we found to be working the best at second quarter of 2025. So this is the most optimal way of handling this situation, and that is why here you will see that there is one value. We track the prospects, we see the stage of their attribution, we see how many interested, how many not interested, and we can circulate back and forth between the different time periods. So to the client, we are providing this specific dashboard. They also obviously see this pipeline, and they have all the conversations inside the conversations tab, even though there are not a lot by now. But the ones that are happening in the conversations tab are just answers to the outreach messages that we're sending. So let me show you how everything works on the back end. If we go to this specific client, let me actually open the three main workflows here. So the first workflow is adding the prospect to the pipeline by the tag. Now, this could be automatic. And of course, as you're saying, hey Eugene, but like why it's not synced, why you're not like doing it automatically? We're not doing that because on the back end, we're running the N8N automation that is extracting, so like downloading the report from the CRM and uploading it into the high level automatically. That is why during the upload, we're adding the tag right away. So when the tag is added here, we are creating the opportunity within the pipeline. This is pretty straightforward. So that's it. Like the prospect sits on the pipeline. Then when another tag, which is start database reactivation, is added, we are verifying if the prospect has the phone number or not, because some of them don't, because they can also reach out to the company through the email or through the physical visit, or they can reach out through the phone number, but the one that is not connected to the CRM and their sales rep are not actually attaching these phone numbers to the contact. So it's like there are some nuances where the potential dead lead cannot have like an actual phone number. But when he has, we are making an API call to this VAPI agent. This is very straightforward. I'm not going to show it to you here to not leak the API keys, but basically what we're doing, we're just like making the API call and we are overriding these variables. This is very important. Not the hardest, but the most important thing for you to understand is that when we are making this call, because the contact has been created with a name, with the first name, last name, email, if we have a phone number, as well as the notes, which are the database reactivation notes, we're passing all these variables here. In the reference information on the prompt, you will see that there is additional details and there is a notes variable. So we are overriding this variable when we are making this API call. So that's pretty much it. Now we're actually assigning the tag to the user and moving this user to the contacted pipeline stage. What happens after? Once the actual call happened, doesn't necessarily mean that the prospect answers. Most prospects do not answer the first call. So we are sending the report to this webhook. So inside the VAPI, you will see that there is like a messaging and there is a server URL. So we're putting here our webhook URL that we have here as a trigger, right? And we are triggering this workflow after the conversation has happened. So here we're just, checking the tag and then we're finding the contact because this is not triggered. So we need to attribute this conversation to a contact. And the way we're doing that is through the phone number, because in the report, we have a from number. So we're using this from number to find the contact. Then we're updating the opportunity. And then it's very interesting. We are checking based on the VAPI call statuses if the prospect answered or not. There are different ways to do that. You can use technically the N8N or Make automation to analyze the transcript of the call and see if this is the call that, for example, not immediately hang up, but was answered by the voicemail or something like that. So you can do that, or you can use the status of the calls as we're doing. So when the prospect did not answer, we are launching a start follow-up sequence, which I'm going to show you later. But when the prospect answered, we're just assigning him into one of these two pipelines, trying to keep it simple, interested or not interested. And the way we're doing that is within the VAPI, we have a structured data. So here we have an interest. So basically, we are asking AI to analyze the transcript of the call and accurately identify, either assign the interested or not interested value to the interest key. So we're passing this key in the call report. So here we're identifying, okay, that was answered. So is it interested? We assign it to interested pipeline. If it's not interested, not interested. Pretty straightforward, keeping it clean, keeping it simple. This is what brings the value. The last thing that I wanted to show is the follow-ups. Pretty standard static pipeline that is sending the SMS. So as soon as we identify that the call was not answered, we are sending the SMS saying, hey, Eugene just made a call. Can you please, give me a call back? And that is where we are receiving the SMSs back. So that's why I said that when we are giving access to this sub account to the client, we're actually giving access to the dashboard, to the opportunities, as well as to the contacts and conversations, because there are some conversations that are happening through the SMS. Now, these conversations are not getting synced to the actual CRM of the customer because it's not needed. We're still trying to reactivate this prospect. Then in 24 hours, we're making the second call, we're sending the SMS, then we're making the third call, and then we're done. So we're making 3 calls and 3 SMS. When I was going over the presentation here, I said that we are not yet utilizing the SMS as a standalone outreach channel here because, again, the system is working. We don't have hundreds of thousands of prospects to reach out to, and we want to use the most effective way. I am not saying that the voice is the most effective way to reactivate the prospects. It does really depend on the use case. It does really depend. But when you understand that the voice would be the best thing, but you don't really want to give even a slight hint to the user that this could potentially be the AI, you would use the personalized RVMs, because these are basically the personalized ringless voicemailers that are getting left. So it's like, picture, instead of doing the calls, we're saying, hey Eugene, this is Josh calling from the roofing, whatever, you said that you have a house in Detroit, are you still looking for the roofing solutions? It's the same thing, but here we are hanging up. Okay, so the customer does not have a chance to ask questions to identify that this is not a human. That is why it can work really good. But the problem here is that it can be costly. And there are a lot of limitations that you need to be aware of. So if you're asking for my suggestion, if you are implementing or building a similar system, you should identify either it to be in voice or the SMS. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. There are use cases. Stay tuned for the more updates for this specific client, because we're gonna roll out more automations to him. We're gonna run the actual outreach SMS campaigns because we do want to test it anyways. So we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.